back to my channel. So today we are doing just a shimmery purple summer step-by-step look on basically what the explanation of each makeup product does, and just going through that and showing you guys. So if you all want to see that, then keep on watching. So taking a primer. What is it? Primer really just helps to prime the face, to just kind of smooth and even it out. I am taking the Professional Pearl Primer because this one is a illuminating primer, which means it kind of gives a glow, but it also helps with pores if you have a lot of pores. There are many kinds out there for dry skin, oily skin, combination skin, regular skin, and a little bit does go a long way. So I just took a little bit here and just putting it on your fingers just helps smoothing it out, making sure there's no, like, you just don't want globs of it. You just want to make sure it is all smooth and even and a nice primed surface for foundation. And I'm taking my Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation, and it says oil free, 14-hour wear, oil control, and photo friendly. Now with like the oil free, it just helps like if you have like drier skin, and once again, since it is a matte, it helps gives a matte finish, and a matte finish is just flat, no shine, no any other effects, and 24-hour wear. Some foundations last a lot longer than others, some don't last too long. Oil control, like I said, with the skin as well, and photo friendly. Now sometimes there are things in foundations and powders that when you take a picture it just flashes back and you are a totally different color, too white, too dark, usually too white. So it is important to find something that does work well with cameras. Also, going back to the primers, it is important to have a primer, and you don't need an expensive primer from Ulta either. You can always go to the drugstore and you can pick up like a Wet n Wild primer, or I love the NYX Angel Veil one. That one is really good as well. It is a skin perfecting primer, so that just helps once again smooth and even things out. So with foundation, I'm just taking 2 pumps there, and it's always best to have a little bit too little because you can always get more and it's really hard to put back. I am just taking a beauty blender here. There is also the option of a brush as well, but I don't like it because it seems a little too rough or just leaves too much of a texture. And it is important to wet your beauty blender before, because if you grab your foundation while it's dry, then it absorbs into the beauty blender and you don't get as much product. So once again, you just kind of press it on, and you want to make sure that it is actually in the skin instead of just on top, because you want to make sure everything is all uniform and all one color and just blends. And of course, we want to take some along the jawline and a little bit down the neck as well, just to help the color blend out and just have a smooth transition. Normally, this shade is a little dark for me, but it is summer when this video is being released, and I have gotten a bit of a tan, so that is also something else to consider when buying foundation, is what season you're in. Just try to match with your neck, because arms, they get very tan very easy, and as you can see, like my hand is a little lighter than my arm, so if I tried to match it to my hand, it wouldn't fit. So that is also an important factor. And once again, guys, you don't need the most expensive foundation at Ulta or Sephora. Yes, I have a lot of Too Faced, I have Urban Decay, but I also have Maybelline and Wet n Wild and Revlon. It is about finding your shade and finding what you like personally. Now going in with concealer, once again, I have 2 examples right here. This one is a drugstore one that I really like. It is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer. And I also have the very traditional Tarte Shape Tape. So I'll be using that today. And what does concealer do? It really helps kind of brighten areas. As you can see, that is lighter than my foundation. So that is going to help brighten the area. Also, concealers help cover up and correct any little imperfections. But I'm just taking the end here and once again blending that out. Concealer is very important. Like if you don't want to go heavy and you just want a very light natural look, then you can just use concealer and just kind of even out the skin tone with that and just even out any little imperfections and brighten. So concealer, I would say, is a must because you can also use it to cut your crease on your eye for when you do cut creases, because that really helps clean things up and just give it a clean base and surface for your color to work with when doing that. And since these are cream products, they will crease if we do not set them. And to do that, we just take a setting powder. I am using the Becca Hydra Mist Set and Refresh Powder. I have really been liking this. It does give like a weird sensation that it is wet, as it implies in the Hydra Mist. Once again, guys, you can get one at the drugstore. e.l.f. has a really good setting powder. I really like that. I'm just taking a powder puff. And these are really nice because it gives you a good control on the powder, opposed to like a very loose brush where it'd be very loosely placed. This you can pack it on or bake it on. And with baking, that really helps like where we put a lot of concealer, like under the eyes and along the bridge of the nose. Those need a little bit more extra care because they have a little more extra product on them. So you really want to make sure and pack it. And of course, we are just going to sweep that away, the excess powder, when we are done baking it. And for me, I find a good measure of time is just doing my brows next. And by the time that's done, it is good. Now that that is baking, we are going on to the brows, and the brows are important. I do have already thick, full brows as well. As you can see, I have not done them yet. So once again, also brushing them is important just to put the hair in place and just kind of see your shape already and kind of like where you need to fill in. We can either use a brow pencil, which is really nice. This one is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It has a twist top here, and as you can see, it is lightly angled, so it is nice to have that angle when going around there. And it also has a little spoolie on the end, and spoolies, these little brushes, are really nice because like if you use too much product, you can just lightly brush it out, and it also just helps kind of blend in the powder as well. We also have like a brow powder, and you would just take like an angled brush with this. This one is in the shade Chocolate. So with these, you would just run it across to give it like a two-dimensional color, and just fill in the brows there as well. It all depends on what kind of brows you really like. So I think I'll be using the brow powder. So you just want to take that, not too much, because a little bit does go a very long way. So you just want to lightly go under the brow. And once again, pretty much brows are just defining the shape. So just filling in any bare spots or just anything that really needs a little extra love. And I am just taking a big fluffy brush here and just lightly sweeping away the excess powder, because you don't want too heavy of a hand, because you don't want to disrupt the layers that we just set, which is also an important thing with makeup, because also makeup is an art. And like any art, with any paint, any other medium, there are layers to it, and it is important to just keep in mind that makeup is an art and to treat it as an art. Now once you have that, your face is pretty much flat with no dimensions. So we are going to start contouring. There are many ways to contour. You can either use like a cream stick here. This one is from Wet n Wild. And this is usually before you set your powder, or else you're just going to disrupt it all. And there are powders such as this. the Hoola bronzer from Benefit, in which I absolutely love. This one is a flat matte kind of shade. And like the Amazonian Park Avenue Princess, this one has a bit of a shimmer to it. So it all depends really on what you want. Once again, there are really good drugstore bronzers like the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. That one is amazing. I am a shimmery kind of gal, so I am just taking my Tarte bronzer and just taking it on a bronzing brush here. As you can see, it is tapered at the end, and you just want to go along the cheekbones. And once again, guys, bronzer is important because it does help give dimension to the face and just bring back color. And what you want to do is you want to go around the temples, just even though I have bangs, you want to go above on the forehead as well, and down the cheekbones, and also along the jawline, just to help give it some definition. Once again, pretty much bronzers, highlighters, and contour bronzers do come in both creams and powders. I do prefer the powder. And once again, there are all kinds of blushes here. We have matte blushes, blushes with a tad of shimmer. We have drugstore blushes, which, once again, I'm not going to knock any drugstore product just because it's drugstore. You do want to give drugstore products a fair and honest chance, as you would just with any other makeup. So, I think I will use my Wet n Wild one, the color Icon in the shade Mellow Wine. And this brush is tapered, so you can just tap it along the cheek as well. So, we're just taking a little bit. Once again, a little bit does go a long way. And you don't want too much. You don't want to go too crazy on it. And it does go on very smoothly. Once again, you kind of want to press it in opposed to swiping because of the layers. And once again, it all depends, guys, if you want a flat layer like this or if you want something with a little bit of shimmer. And I also put a little bit on my chin just to give it a little bit more color. And now for highlighters. Highlighters are important because they do show what you want to kind of highlight. So that is important as well. There are different kinds of shades. Some are more like a glaze and golden. Some are more like a deep gold. Some come in like a whiter shade for a more intense highlight. Some come in a peachy shimmer. I have one and I have been looking everywhere for it, but I do have one, guys. And I shall be taking my Tarte highlight and just taking that on a highlighter brush. Basically, once again, these are tapered as well, just to kind of give you a nice direction and space for that. And once again, a little bit does go a long way. And what I really like about the Tarte ones, they do last a long time and they smell absolutely amazing. So you just want to put it where you want to highlight, so down the bridge of your nose and on the tip, on the cheekbones, and on this little part right above the lip. And what I like to do once the highlight is placed on the bridge of the nose, I just like to go back with the bronzer and a small fluffy brush here. This is just an eye brush, and just kind of going down the sides of the nose as well, just to help give that shape and definition. You don't want to go too heavy on the bronzer, but you do want to make it look light and natural for natural shading and contouring. And now that our face is done, it's time to go and move on to the eyes. Now with eye primers, there are a few different kinds. I do have a matte drugstore one, in which this is pretty much my favorite. It is nice, it applies smoothly, it is inexpensive, and it just is really nice. And then there are tinted eye primers. These are both from Ulta. This is a satin blush, so it's like a light satiny pink. And this one is a champagne eye primer, which is good. Not the greatest if you want a really matte eye, but with like the Photo Focus by Wet n Wild eye primer here, it is nice and it does have a flat matte finish, as you see. And once again, Also, with eye primers, you don't want to go overboard because eye primers are there to help the eyeshadows really stick to the eyes. So, too much of it and it just has the absolute opposite effect. So, I am taking my Anastasia Beverly Hills Prism palette. This one has very unique shades. So, such as this one. This one makes a nice setting shade in which we will be using. This one is called Unity. And you just want to take a fluffy brush with that because that really helps just evenly distribute that shadow. If you pick too small of a brush, it'll just be too packed. Smaller brushes are meant for more precise areas. And you always want transition shades because eventually I do want to get to this shade, but if I just put it on now, it'll just be all blotchy and it just won't blend out very well. So I am taking a shade with purple tones and I am taking the shade Lure and just putting that in the crease. Once again, you can just knock off that little excess powder on your brush because once again, you don't want too much and a little bit does go a long way. And as you can see, that has a lovely purple transition shade there. And I'm just taking a flat brush here. Flat brushes are important because they pick up and you can just really press and pack in. So I am taking the shade that we wanted to, Dimension, and putting that on there and just pressing that in. And with the crease, you just want to kind of blend up. And I do want to blend out this corner here. So on a smaller brush, just taking the shade Oriasis and just taking a little bit of that. And just blending that on the outer corner. And that really just helps, once again, give dimension to the look. Blending that onto the lid shade as well. And as you can see, that transitions in nicely. And for eyeliners, there are a few different kinds out there. There is like the L'Oreal Infallible eyeliner, which is more like a pencil. So this gives like a nice smoky smudge look. I find this really nice for the waterline. There are also liquid ones, which are my favorite because they have such a beautiful color and pigmentation to them. I have the NYX ones in vinyl and matte. So the vinyl one, as it implies, is, think of it like a vinyl record. It is more of a shine. And once again, with these, it does take precision and a little bit of time and a lot of practice. Trust me, I know. In the NYX matte, it goes on, and when it dries, it'll be more of like a flat matte shade. So it all depends on personal preference as well. I really like the look of the vinyl. As you can see, I can't tell if you guys can tell on camera, but there is the pencil, there is the vinyl, and as you can see, the matte has dried and it doesn't have that shiny finish like the vinyl one. Once again, take your time, and you just want to go as closely as you can to the lash line. What I like to do for the cat eye, I just grab like the inner corner right there where the waterline meets the upper lash line. Grabbing that. Drawing a little bit past the crease and just joining it back about a third of the way in. And as you can see, that gives a lovely definition. And for the bottom lash line, going back with the palette and just taking the shade Dimension again, so that lighter purple, and just running it all the way along. And of course, you don't want to take it down too low, just enough to give it back color, definition, and just help complete the eye look. Now we are going to curl our lashes, and curling it is important just to help give it a lifted look, and it really helps open up the eyes. So what you do is basically you just stick it in there. Try not to grab your lash line because that hurts. And just, I usually press it for about 15 times. And just slowly let go, and as you can see, it is lifted. Now mascaras. Those are important. They give definition to the eyes and the eyelashes. So they usually come in brown and black, but there are also fun colors like purple and blue and red and green and sparkly colors, which are a lot of fun to play with. There are also many different formulas. There is the regular kind, there is waterproof, there is volume, there is length. So some are both, some take multiple coats, and some come in different formulas, like this one from Benefits. This one is known as a very wet mascara, so you really have to be careful when applying it because it is a little more wet, so it does give a lot of color, but it is extremely easy to smudge. And I would have to say the Lancome Monsieur Big is my favorite. This one is not the waterproof one. This one is in black, and I really like this one because it just gives a lot of definition and length, so you don't need lots and lots and lots of coats. So basically, you just want to take your time with this as well. Just kind of go in there, press them to the lashes, and just kind of roll the wand. And it is best to look down when doing it, opposed to looking like straight forward, because when you do it this way, you can really kind of push up on those lashes and get that color in there. And if you're looking straight forward, you very often smudge your crease, and what we just did, and you don't want to do that. As you can see the difference between one coat here and not having anything here. So that does give a lot of definition. And what I like to do, just to make sure I don't go overboard on the lower lashes, just take it from there. Don't go in again into the mascara tube. You just want to keep what's left on there and just lightly go under those as well. And as you can see, that gives a ton of definition. Now, like I was saying, for the waterline, you can either take a light shade, which helps open up and brighten the eyes, or take a black shade, which gives it a little bit more definition, but also a more closed off look. And I think I will go with the lighter shade, so I'm taking the Tarte Fake Awake. And as you can see here, compared to the black, it does give a brighter shade there. And as you can see, that does brighten and give definition. Going back in with the Prism palette, and I am taking the shade Lucid on a small brush here. And I am putting that in my inner tear duct because that is a highlight as well. As you can see, that really helps brighten up. And you just want to go in a little bit lighter with it and just go under the brow. Because going under the brow with it, it helps give a lighter and lifted look. In which it looks amazing. I will do the other eye off camera and I'll be right back. Alrighty, now that I have finished both eyes, I am now going to do the lips. And with lips, there are so many options. There is the one I will be using today, which is a metallic lipstick, which is quite lovely in Bali in Love. There are like soft matte lip creams, which are just that. They're soft, they're matte. These are best if you use something as a moisturizer underneath. I really like the Nivea lip butter for it. And that's usually what I do when I apply like a liquid lipstick, or maybe just one that isn't creamy or glossy, like the Tarte Lippy Lingerie. It just really helps create a smooth base in just fuller lips. You don't see all the little cracks and imperfections. And then there are just regular lipsticks like these. This one is from Tarte, where it gives you the lipstick and the corresponding lip gloss. So I am taking the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit in the shade Valley in Love, like I've said. And what I really like about this one with the Deerfoot applicator is that it does have like a little shape to it to really help go around the lips and to help really with the curvature of your lips. And as you can see, this is just a really lovely pink shade. It does have that hint of metallic to it, in which I absolutely love. Usually the rule of thumb is a color, but once again, makeup is one of the freest art forms you can do. You can mix any colors that you like, that you personally want to do. And makeup is your personal art. But for me, I like to do soft lips and a bold eye usually, but every now and then I like to switch it up. I am simply taking a setting spray, and setting sprays are important as well because it just wets the face, and when it dries, it just dries everything in place and sets it. So there is like the regular MAC Prep and Prime, and that is just like a regular formula. Then there is like the dewy formulas, which gives that extra little glow, and this one is the Ulta Beauty Dewy. And then there are matte finishes for that nice flawless matte look. But today I think I want to go dewy, since it is a summer look, and I just love dewy summer looks. And we are good. And that is a just simple step-by-step explanation guide. I really hope this helped you guys out. I know starting off with makeup, I didn't really know too much or really anything until I started watching YouTube tutorials, and that is also really what inspired me to start my own channel and help share and create with you guys. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big ol' thumbs up. Also, don't forget to check out the social media shout out down below. My social media links are there as well. Love you guys.